There's been some turbulence in the commodity market of late because of what China has done with tightening that led to a bit of a sell-off, and then commodities have bounced back. To talk about the road ahead there, Jim Rogers is with us now. Jim, morning. Thanks for joining in. How have you read the Chinese action of late, and do you think it has the potential of stalling this strong commodity rally?
Well, I'm delighted to see what China did, because some of the real estate in China is getting into a serious bubble, so it's good for China and therefore good for most of us. They need to cool off their economy. They cannot get it too strong. But China does not control the commodities market by any stretch of the imagination. You know, the Chinese economy, as strong as it is about 1/10 the size of America and Europe. 1/10, 10%. So we need China, but that's not going to set the pace.
Do you agree with people or commentators who believe that there are mini bubbles which are already forming in the commodity space because of the liquidity injection, or do you think we are nowhere close to that?
In what? What? Nothing. I mean, gold made an all-time high recently, but everything else is still very depressed compared to its all-time high. What kind of bubble are you talking about? Name one commodity that's in a bubble. Name one commodity that's anywhere near its all-time high, except gold.
Jim, morning. There's been a big resurgence of trading interest in crude as well. For 2010, would that be a commodity to watch, you think?
Well, I own crude. I don't think I would buy it right now. It's gone up a lot this year, or last year, or in the last 12 months anyway. But I own all commodities. I think that commodities are the best place to be. You know, if the world economy gets better, commodities are going to lead the way because there's shortages developing in most commodities. If the world economy does not get better, commodities are a good place to be because they're printing so much money all over the world. And if the world economy does not get better, they're going to print even more money. So I'd rather be in commodities than just about anything. But back to, what is this bubble we're talking about? Cotton is 60% below its all-time high. Silver is 70% below its all-time high. What are these bubbles?
Any thoughts on some of the softer commodities like sugar or tea, if you track those?
Well, I own sugar, yes. I certainly own sugar. I don't own tea. Tea is something that's making an all-time high. But there's no futures market in tea, so I don't own tea. I am aware of what's going on, however.
Do you see the
and I drink tea.
Do you see the prospect of crude moving into triple digits again in 2010 at some point?
I'm the world's worst short-term trader. I mean, you all know that. I'm no good at market timing. I do know that crude will be back in triple digits sometimes in the next 5 or 10 years. The surprise is that how high the price of crude is going to stay. The world's running out of known reserves of crude, so we're going to see much higher prices of crude down the line. What happens in 2010, I'm not smart enough. Watch CNBC. There are a lot of guys on CNBC every day who can tell you exactly what's going to happen. I'm not one of them.
If your view is that, Jim, that commodities will continue to rally, do you see global inflation being stoked significantly over the next 1 or 2 years because of further asset price and commodity price increases?
We already have inflation. I mean, some governments lie about it, but everybody who shops knows that we already have inflation. Look at India, look at China, look all over the world. We have shortages developing of nearly everything, and so yes, prices are going up, and we have governments all over the world printing huge amounts of money. That has always led to price increases. It is leading to price increases now, and we're going to continue to have more inflation.
What about the entire base metal universe, Jim? Does that look like it's got a strong run going, or would you say it will probably continue to lag some of the precious metals like gold?
Well, the base metals have had a very strong run. Copper has doubled in the last several months. Most base metals are up. Maybe they're not up as much as gold in the last year, but many of them have done better than gold over the past decade. I'm not buying any of them right now because they all have gone up a whole lot. If I were going to buy commodities, I would buy the ones that are still depressed, mainly in agriculture or silver or something like that. But I certainly would not sell base metals because, you know, we cannot open a mine. Nobody can get finance to open a mine these days. even if you could get finance to open a mine, it takes 10 years to bring your mine on stream. So the supply of base metals is going to continue under pressure.
What are the chances, though, that any of these base metals may be set up for a sharp correction this year, Jim?
Well, they're very good. I mean, if the world suddenly has a big collapse, if England goes bankrupt or something like that, everything's going to go down a whole lot. But if something like that happens, of course, then they're going to print even more money, so you better jump in and buy as many as you can, because that's just going to make commodities an even more attractive place to be. I have no idea what's going to happen. If we have sudden bankruptcies or sudden wars, it will have a big effect on everything.
You've spoken in the past about your attraction to the Chinese market, Jim, but of the other BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia and India, which ones would you lean towards now if you had to invest there?
I'm not investing in any of them at the moment. I bought shares in no place since November of 2008, so I'm not buying anywhere. All markets are up a lot. I'm just sitting and watching. As I say, the way I'm playing is mainly with commodities, because if the world gets better, they'll get better. If the world doesn't get better, if the world economy does not get better, most stock markets are going to suffer. It's not necessarily true of commodities if the world economy does not get better. In fact, if the world economy does not get better, as I said before, they're probably going to print even more money, so commodities will be the place to be.
Thanks, Jim, for your perspective as always. That's Jim Rogers, still bullish on commodities, says there's no bubble brewing anytime soon in that world.